The following attraction is scheduled for one show with a 45-minute time limit.
Damn! Double or Nothing was a really, really good show. It just seemed like there was something missing besides the crowd. I mean, obviously, the crowd kind of has something to do with it. Like, somebody in the crowd screaming, "Oh my God," when Hangman Page comes out.
Yeah.
But, Brian, you think you're going to get off that easily this week? Welcome to Wrestling with Egos. However you're listening or watching us, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Intergalactic Radio, Anchor Podcast, whatever. Thanks for making this aftermath of Double or Nothing your home for your Lean Mean Wrestle Talkage. This particular week, I'm Patrick, joined as always by Brian and RJ. As I've been yammering on, you guys have seen the social medias and how to contact us on Facebook. And not on Facebook. We don't have Facebook. On email and our Google repository where you can see all the other good stuff. And as always, as you're seeing, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. That way we know what you like and what you don't like and what you want to see more of, namely, our gorgeous faces and my beautiful bald head. So, real quick, guys, what you think of the new digs?
Love it.
Very, very professional, very top-notch. A look befitting only the show that is the Lean Mean Wrestle Talking Machine of Wrestling with Egos.
Not just that, but I think it's safe to say befitting the true reverend of the rant, the pastor of pissed off, to steal a little bit from Seth Rollins, maybe the Messiah of Mayhem.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying that one on. I honestly, I don't like it either. So
It feels like you're itching to go some places tonight. We'll see if we can get you there.
challenge accepted.
Okay.
Gentlemen, as we start each and every week on this show, or at least we try to, just want to remind you guys that the following attraction is scheduled for one show.
One show.
With a 45-minute time limit that will not be adhered to at all.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know, right? Talk about shock the system. Baby. Anyway, we start the show off each and every week. Well, we try to sometimes with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this week, plenty of all of the above. So, RJ, I have a feeling yours is going to be very AEW light. You're going to talk a lot about what was really good about Raw and SmackDown, probably.
I'm probably not going to do that. I will mention Raw at some point during this good, bad, and ugly, but it's not the good. The good, I'm actually going to save everything that I'm going to talk about for Double or Nothing till the Double or Nothing conversation. I'll bring up something from Dynamite. FTR is my good for this week. Because that debut was baller.
That is not just good. That is great. Hashtag top guys in.
Top guys doing top guy things.
I was doing top guy things. Can I be honest? Thank God they're not being called the Revolt.
I agree.
I didn't really like it. It didn't sound good. And when they came out of that truck on Wednesday, first off, that truck was badass. It was like, okay, that's just fitting for them. They came out, and Excalibur was like, "It's FTR." I was like, hell yes. Hell yes. So I'll just go ahead and get this out of the way. At some point in this calendar year, we're going to get Bucks FTR. Gentlemen, what are the 6 words I'm thinking? Shut up and take my money. Shut up and take my money.
Do you remember? You might not even know this happened, and I'm sure there are some people that are watching this show that don't know it happened, so I will tell the story. It's a small story. About 2 years ago, both members of the Revival and both members of the Young Bucks tweeted all at the exact same time. They set their Twitters to tweet, and they all tweeted at the exact same time. And both members of the Revival tweeted, "One day, the Revival will wrestle the Young Bucks. Remember this tweet." And both members of the Young Bucks tweeted, "One day, the Young Bucks will wrestle the Revival. Remember this tweet." Here we are.
And here it comes.
Foreshadowing.
That
That's
Playing
why,
that long
that's
game.
why when they left WWE, there was no question where they were going. They want to go wrestle the Young Bucks.
Yeah, because we've gotten a lot of good feedback off of the from 2 weeks ago, the tag team Mount Rushmore, which was a awesome debate. And thank you guys so much for your feedback. Is because we had a nice contrast of opinions and a nice contrast of points of view. There are people
Right. Like I picked the Young Bucks and you guys were wrong.
Well, and we even had a market correction because I went back and added the Road Warriors after the fact. So,
Right.
you know.
And I also pointed out on Facebook this week that not only did I not put on the greatest tag team on the planet on my Mount Rushmore, but I didn't put the Bucks on there either. FYI, my opinion, greatest tag team on the planet is Harwood and Wheeler.
There's nothing wrong with being the second best tag team in the world, like FTR.
I will say this. Those four gentlemen have the potential to make their rivalry in AEW one of the best we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And that's hardly going out on a limb. You know, I mean, it's not like a hot take or anything, but their minds and their athleticism and their willingness to go places that you might not normally go. I mean, they've got a chance to, be probably the best recent vintage tag team rivalry we've seen. They could eclipse Usos and New Day. Dare I say it?
Oh no, they will do that. Don't get me wrong. Usos and New Day have been a good rivalry, but you're talking about a good rivalry in a company that does not give a rat's flipping ass about tag team wrestling.
This is true.
Two of the executives of AEW are one of the two best tag teams on the entire planet. The other one they just signed. So they're going to give this all. This is when whatever pay-per-view this happens, whether it be All Out or it be what's the end of the year one? Fighter Fest.
Top Gear? Or was Top Gear just like a festival that they wrestled?
Full Gear. Was that? Oh my God, I don't remember the dates now. Sorry, this glass of wine used to be full, so
was the last one of the year. So I mean, whether it's Full Gear or it's All Out or it's even Revolution, in the first part of next year, that's going to main event. I don't care who Moxley's facing for the title, if Moxley's still the champ. I don't care what Cody's doing. I don't care if it's Britt Baker and somebody. I don't care. The main event of that will be Bucks and FTR.
Here's a question. Just the yes or no answer. No need to go into it anymore until further of later date. When this happens as a main event somewhere, will one of those two teams be the tag champion?
Yes.
I agree.
I'll say yes too.
Especially if it's going to main event, you got to have the tag titles in there.
I agree.
My good.
Go ahead.
My good. Some good news from Raw this week. I thought it was good news from Raw. We have a new United States champion, ladies and gentlemen, and his name is Apollo Crews, and I am very happy for him. A lot of stop and start booking with Apollo since he left NXT, really. Even when he was in NXT, there was a lot of stop and start booking going on with him. Injuries have played a role in this, I know, but things seem to be coming together for him. And I am happy that a guy with his talent, his athleticism, gets them run with the United States Championship.
I agree with that. I've always liked him. Just an all-around great wrestler, great athleticism. One of those guys that WWE usually doesn't push.
For sure.
To be honest. Here's the, and I mean this wholeheartedly when I say it. If it rubs people the wrong way, I'm sorry. I'm being honest here. This is the type of wrestler WWE generally does not push. Athletic, built well, articulate, black.
Absolutely.
I mean, Ricochet, Cedric, Shelton, Woods.
Lashley's not articulate, but
Right.
you know.
Took Kofi a decade.
I was about to get to that. You only took 14 freaking years to put the title on Kofi.
Right.
I mean, you have all of these guys that have come through that have been just these over-the-top amazing athletes that are African Americans. And it took you 14 years of just jerking Kofi around to finally give a black man the WWE Championship.
And then you jobbed him out
So
in
that
5 seconds.
Can you not talk about that?
Yeah, sorry. I just,
yeah.
journalistic integrity, we have to bring it up. But moving right along.
All right.
Speaking of bad, on to the bad.
Bad. Brian, bad. Somebody bad.
Yeah. We were afraid this would happen, and it happened. Cody is your TNT champion. It's, next.
RJ Mann.
Go ahead.
I don't have a good, bad, and the ugly this week. Sorry. I do have a bad. Because because number one, we're talking about Cody winning the TNT title, which was stupid. We'll get to that later. But Apollo Crews also won the U.S. title. Combined, both of those title changes appeared in front of a paid audience of 0. And I do not understand why, in God's name, we had to have title changes without a reaction. Rant mode on. Why? Why are we having these title changes? Not just that, but spoiler alert, Hikaru Shida beat Nyla Rose for the title, which we didn't think was going to happen. That should have happened in front of a packed MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, which RJ was there at that show last year.
That was awesome. Best good of my life.
Yep. That would have been a massive moment. But for the sake of the title change, got to change the title. So hypothetically, let's say after this greatest wrestling match of all time that Edge and Orton are supposed to have at Backlash, Edge moves on and maybe he's going after Braun Strowman for the title? Okay, so you mean to tell me you're going to possibly let Edge win the title over Strowman at the Performance Center? That is like having an empty arena when Shawn Michaels came back in that unsanctioned match against Hunter at SummerSlam. That is like having Hogan and Rock in front of a crowd of none.
Oh.
None. Not 9. None. 0. Zilch. Nada. I don't get it. I also don't like it. Title changes, they're meant to move storylines along, yes, and they're meant to propel athletes and these superstars, their careers along. But let's be honest, title changes are also for us.
Absolutely.
When it's a Daniel Bryan or it's someone that, whether we like them or whether we boo them or we cheer them, if they earned it, They get one of what, in my opinion, is one of the coolest chants in all of wrestling. You deserve it. Because you got that with Bryan. You got that with Bray Wyatt when he won the Elimination Chamber. You got that when he won it, when he beat Seth in Saudi Arabia. Not from that crowd, because they couldn't give two shits. But anyway, when they came back to America, where they actually do appreciate wrestling, Bray got the "You Deserve It" chance. Hikaru Shida does not get that. Neither would Chris Statlander. Neither will Apollo. I mean, to me, it's kind of pointless. Give us good storylines, but title changes right now don't mean shit, because if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. If I'm standing in the kitchen after eating 3 bowls of chili and I let out an amazing fart, if no one's there to hear it, can anybody really appreciate it?
If it travels far enough.
Well, you guys do know me, so. Honestly, I'm not even angry with that, with this whole title change thing, guys. I'm kind of bummed out about it, because it's just like, really?
Yeah.
And that's all I got. Rant mode off.
RJ, do you have an ugly?
I have a bad.
Okay.
I actually do have a bad and an ugly, but I haven't given the bad yet. My bad is, believe it or not, has to do with something that happened at Double or Nothing and carried on to Dynamite. I just talked last week about how I don't need all these managers in AEW. And then mystery entrant comes into the ladder match and his manager walks out first. I don't need all these managers in AEW. What is going on?
What's going on is they're trying to bring back the manager.
And while I agree that in the WWE, the idea of manager has kind of become a lost art to a point, I feel like AEW is doing way too much of it. Mm-hmm. I don't need Taz with Brian Cage. Spoiler alert on the mystery entrant. I don't need Arn Anderson with Cody. I don't need Jake Roberts with Lance Archer. There's more. Everybody comes out with somebody. It's too much. It's too much. There's too much. I'm the guy that's molding this guy to become my guy going on. And that's my bad. There's another freaking manager in AEW.
The Butcher and the Blade don't need the bunny. Let's be honest. QT Marshall and Dustin don't need Brandy.
Not at all.
I mean, I do have an ugly, and I'm sorry to do it. I do not care that the TNT title couldn't be finished because of COVID-19. It still looks ugly as shit. And my whole argument is, okay, if it's not finished because of COVID-19, why'd you rush it? It's like rushing a video game because something's about to happen toward the end of the year and you gotta beat whatever game it is out on the shelves. And then the game completely and utterly sucks ass. Metal Gear 5.
We appear to have touched a nerve with young Master Patrick over there.
You guys know how much I love Metal Gear. Metal Gear 5.
Yes, I do.
Well, the parts of Metal Gear 5 that actually you could play were awesome, but it didn't finish the freaking story. It'd be like if this podcast ended right now. Well, actually, you guys would probably thank us for that. But
all right, I have to both simultaneously agree with you and defend my guys. Okay. They said that what is not done about it. Okay, let me preface this by saying my buddy Kevin, the same Kevin who picked the Brian Cage mystery entrant thing, big shout out to Kevin, messaged me during Double or Nothing near the beginning, and he said, if you want to see the TNT Championship, it's on Twitter. They posted a picture of Tyson with it. It's on Twitter if you want to see it. I pulled it up on my phone, and the first words out of my mouth were, "God, that's garbage."
Yeah.
I think it's hideous. With that said, gold plating, if done correctly, if it's not just putting gold on top of what they have, and there's actually some design that goes along with the gold plating on all that emptiness, it could become better. The defense here is that it's obvious to me that the EVPs, at least, and Tony Khan had nothing to do with designing this belt. The reason I'm going to say that is because in the past, they have all, especially Cody, been very, very vocal in interviews and like at fan events about how they can't believe that what you're doing is you're going to bring out a belt. You're going to name it the 24/7 Championship. So what are you going to put on it? 24/7. Like, they've all talked about how horrible that belt is and how awful it is to just stamp 24/7 on the front like that, which leads me to believe that it's kind of a TNT thing because they all obviously hate that design. They all laughed at it and mocked it when WWE did it, and now they have a belt that looks like that. Don't have any facts or inside information. I haven't seen anybody say anything, but in my mind, there is no way All Elite Wrestling designed that championship. For Christ's sake, one of the side plates is a picture of Ted Turner's mansion.
Yeah.
Which was the original. Well, it was the original Turner Broadcasting headquarters, which is what it's supposed to symbolize. But it's Ted Turner's mansion.
Yeah, calling
There's
that
no
belt,
way AEW put that on there.
calling the TNT Championship pedestrian is an insult to belts that are pedestrian.
It looks awful at the moment, and I pray that it gets better.
Yeah, right now, my opinion, it is the worst title belt in wrestling.
I think that the 24/7 is worse only because I hate that green color.
Oh, yeah. But I say it's marginally better. Anyway, you know what? Guys, we kind of run a little bit long on this already. Let's skip the rest of Good, Bad, Ugly, and let's just dive into Double or Nothing. To hell with it. The Sith Lord has spoken. At least I'm better looking than Palpatine. Spoiler alert. Speaking of spoiler alert, RJ dropped one earlier. The casino ladder match was won by the Wolverine himself, Brian Cage. I seem to remember a guy calling that last week. I don't know who. Could it be the same guy that we constantly put over at Brian's expense last week?
I think it was.
I think so too.
I'm going to say we were running a little long. I seem to recall you saying that we were running long, so maybe we should just commence with it and, you know.
I'm gonna go ahead and put myself over just a tad. Just a tad. My buddy Kevin, I have to give him credit, and I did last week, for the idea that it was going to be Brian Cage. With that said, he messaged me. I saw something on Twitter that leads me to think it might be Brian Cage. My response to him was, "Oh my God, you figured it out. That's for sure who it is." So I am going to put myself over a little bit. But as soon as I heard his name, as soon as it was in my head, it was blatantly obvious to me that that's who it was going to be. I said it last week. There it is. Ding. Chalk one up. Give another one to your boy.
Give me my points.
Could have done without the manager, though.
Huh?
I could have done without the manager, though.
The only thing I didn't like about Brian Cage's entrance was literally, who can stop the path of Cage? I'm like, ugh, that's terrible. Because Brian Cage can cut a promo. Taz really can't. Taz can't cut a promo unless he swears. That's why he was effective in ECW. Not for nothing. God, terrible.
I do love the idea of, and I mentioned this to you guys on chat, I think, I do love the idea of taking a guy the caliber of Brian Cage, a guy like Brian Cage, bringing him in and immediately shooting him into the title picture. I love that. I think it's phenomenal. A lot of people are poo-pooing it. I'm not one of those. My opinion is that he is the caliber of guy that you shoot straight to the top.
And also at the same time, my opinion, unlike WWE, AEW has no precedents set. So they can pretty much do what the hell they want with a title contender. I mean, given the same climate, WWE could have done the exact same thing with AJ Styles when he debuted at the Rumble several years ago. You know, AJ Styles debuts, AJ Styles wins and now has a title shot. Why? Because it's AJ freaking Styles. But
And that wouldn't have bothered me at all.
No, wouldn't have bothered anybody. But crap like that can't happen in WWE because they have the mindset of if it didn't happen in WWE, then it doesn't matter. I've won the IWGP Championship. Hiroshi Tanahashi could walk into WWE tomorrow and nobody would give a shit because he's 9-time IWGP champ?
I think it's 8.
I was close.
I think he's tied with Okada.
The most ever. And, well, none of that happened to WWE. You've never beaten me. I've beaten this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy.
I back and there's actual evidence to back up what you just said. Like Shinsuke Nakamura is a legend. He is a wrestling legend, and he is fodder in WWE.
Styles was, up and down a little bit. I mean, you want to be really honest? I got an even better one for you because it didn't happen in WWE. Woo!
Yeah.
We're going to acknowledge the fact that he's a 6-time world champion, but he only won 2 here in WWE.
Absolutely.
So,
a bunch of guys in that casino ladder match performed very, very well, and as much as I love Rey Fenix, I was happy. Not happy because a guy's injured, but I was looking forward to Joey Janela being in that match once it was announced that he was going to be Phoenix's replacement. That was fun. I thought everybody performed really, really well.
I did too. I thought Joey Janela came out looking great. Darby Allin continues to be Darby Allin. It's getting to the point now where we just look at it and go, yeah, Darby's going Darby. One thing I can't, when you say what's the first thing that comes to your mind about that casino ladder match, first thing that comes to my mind, Cage coming out and ripping that ladder in half. I'm like, all right, that was boss.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that was boss.
I loved when they buried him, like, under all the crap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then just...
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
I got a question for you, Patrick.
Yes.
You think MJF can wrestle yet?
Oh, me. Apology mode on. After watching that match with Jungle Boy, which I've said on this show, I think Jungle Boy can go. Jungle Boy is proven to be, for his size, really freaking good in the ring. I'm sorry. I take it all back. Damn. I was like, I guess he heard me?
He must have, man.
I'm like, is he pulling a Michael Jordan from The Last Dance? George Karl didn't shake my hand before the finals against Seattle, so I'm just going to effing bury him? Don't get me started on that. I'm watching The Last Dance. I'm like, I'm losing respect for MJ watching this.
Yeah. He was afraid that people were going to say that.
I'm like,
does MJF get that in general? Like they don't think that he's got good acumen in the ring and all he does is talk, that kind of thing. I mean, is that
I'm
a
curious.
school of thought?
I see a lot of it, yeah. And I like I said last week, I think it is it's because of how good he is on the mic. You just like it's an afterthought. His wrestling is an afterthought. It's not what you think about when you think of MJF because he's so good on the microphone. So you automatically assume, well, maybe not you don't assume, but maybe even subconsciously, you're thinking to yourself, well, what I remember about MJF is on the microphone. It's not in the ring, so he must not be that good.
Okay.
That's what I think. It's a lot of that, but he really, really is.
Yeah. That was a great match. I loved it. So, I mean,
Me too.
I was very impressed with it. Jungle Boy, I still maintain with the right kind of push, they can take Jack Perry and shoot him to the damn moon.
I agree. 100%. 100%. Couldn't agree more. You could have, for me, you could have taken that match and made it a little bit longer. Maybe made, I don't know. Oh, excuse me. Maybe make Cody and Archer a little bit longer. And you could have completely cut out everything that they did with Dustin and Shawn Spears.
Yes.
I didn't think that was worth. I understand that there's an entertainment, like there's got to be something for everybody on a wrestling show, right? It's supposed to be variety. That's
right.
Funny when his clothes get ripped off and he has Tully on his crotch. That's hilarious. I get it, but like, I could have done without the whole thing. I don't think you can do that on Dynamite. Why did you do that on Double or Nothing?
Right. Especially with no crowd to react.
Right. That's another no crowd reaction. If you have a crowd there to laugh at him when the picture of his boxers goes up on the big screen, maybe it's worth it. But I just don't see that as being worth it at all.
I didn't get it at all.
Yeah.
I will disagree with you on one thing. I would have liked for Cody and Archer to have been shorter. For me, toward the end, it became like Cody's going to win.
Yeah, of course.
But it wasn't like, okay, like we discussed last week, two title, they're going to want you to go. The way they were doing the match, it was just like, hit another move. Cody hit another move. There's another cross. Okay, this is of just gearing up to the inevitable. It's like watching Titanic. All right, I'm gonna sit here for 3.5 hours. No. Bring damn water. Drown Leo. Let's go.
And I will argue that making it longer could have made it less inevitable, feel less inevitable. You have that whole, everything stays the same, exactly as it happened. But in that moment, Archer kicks out and then maybe does some sort of big, powerful offensive move to Cody, who is now back down on the mat. Archer now has the upper hand again. Maybe the match goes 5 minutes longer. Maybe now you're not feeling that inevitability. Maybe now it's not so obvious that Cody's going to win if it goes a little bit longer.
Right. I see where you're getting at. But it just, to me, it seemed very formulaic. And and to be honest, it put a very bad taste in my mouth for all things AEW when Cody won. By the way, Cody still cannot challenge for the AEW world title. But you know what? That's just fine because he's TNT's champion.
We should really organize a telethon for Cody because it's it's a sacrilege. What it really sticks in my craw that he can't. Anyway, I'm kidding. I do have a serious question though. Where does Lance Archer go from here? Is he still? Do you think he still gets embroiled in a rivalry with Cody going forward, or is he kind of twisting in the wind now?
I think he's in limbo. I honestly think that loss, the way the loss was done, I think it kills him off almost. You're gonna, because he came in and wrecked the hell out of everybody.
I that's the point that I made in the room that I was in watching it. This is so weird. Like, because I'm such an elite mark, I
No.
want all of the members of the elite to always win. So as much as I thought it was a bad idea to put the belt on Cody, I was rooting for him. So it was a very weird feeling when he won, because I told the room that I was in, I'm very happy that he won as an elite fan, but I think it's a horrible idea and I don't think he should have. And I was asked why. My reasoning was, where does Lance Archer go now?
Right.
Like, Cody has so many different ways he could bounce off of a loss there. Like you brought up last week, like, he could do what Kenny did at the beginning of AEW and fall into a losing streak, and I can't figure it out, and I got to get a win, and I need something to help me. But Archer can't do that. That doesn't fit anything about him. I agree. I have no idea where Lance Archer goes now.
I mean, you could honestly have taken, Cody could have taken that loss, and he and Arn put together a new game plan, and that new game plan involves him turning heel.
Right.
And now you do Cody versus Kenny again, or Cody versus Hangman. You do that, because God only knows when we're going to have, forget the pandemic, even though we're not forgetting the pandemic because this is part of it, when we're going to have these travel restrictions lifted. So God only knows when we're going to see people like Pac back over here.
Right.
So, I mean, it would make a lot of sense to take people that you have at your disposal and flip them just to be able to tell a new story.
Right.
So
another question I have coming out of this, and I think having FTR debut the way they did kind of answers this question for me. Have we seen the end of Inner Circle versus the Elite?
No.
Should we be?
No.
I think
Here's why. Here's why. I'll give you 4 reasons. And I'm treating the Inner Circle like this. You know why? Things get stale. You have the Horsemen piss somebody off. So now, things are stale. So let's have the Horsemen piss off Dusty. Things are stale. Let's have the Horsemen piss off this Sting kid. Let's have him piss off Luger. Let's have him piss off Nikita Koloff. How about the Road Warriors? How about the Rock and Roll Express? They always had this to fall back on. You've always got the Inner Circle to fall back on because them some bitches are over. So they can, as much as I criticize AEW and especially Dynamite for always being so heavy Inner Circle versus Elite, you can still ride the ever-loving shit out of the Inner Circle because that horse has mega miles left to go.
I think that it might be over for the short term, but that it will never be over in the long term.
No, we can always circle that one back. We can always run that one back. Edge used this phrase in referring to John Cena. That's just old shoe.
Yeah.
That's just an old shoe. Anybody got any ideas? It's kind of like that episode of South Park when they're doing the TV class and they're all trying to be news reporters. Anybody got any ideas? Cartman's like, we can go with crab people. Crab people? Hey, I'm just saying, we've got crab people. At a creative meeting, AEW can always go, well, got Inner Circle and Elite. We can always go there again. Okay. And that's like, and for me as a wrestling fan, that's always, hey, we're thinking about doing Inner Circle and Elite. That's like saying, hey, you want some ice cream? Yes. I would love some. Hey,
with sprinkles?
You want some jelly beans? Yes, I would love some jelly beans.
No sprinkles. Sprinkles are for winners.
Sprinkles are for winners. Yeah. Shout out to our girl Flo.
Speaking of winners, Patrick, your match of the night from Dynamite or from Double or Nothing was.
To be honest, Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida. That you guys know me. I love snug matches. I love it where it just looks like they're beating the shit out of each other. And I was expecting. What'd you say?
Shida got her ass whooped.
Oh God, yes. God, yes. But them two chicks were not about to let the other one get over on the other one when it came to strikes. They were laying them in, and it was just a straight up fight. I loved it. I'm like, this isn't like some chick fight you see at a bar where they're pulling hair and they're scrapping. No, these two ladies was throwing lumber. And the speed that Hikaru Shida was hitting those knee strikes and running at Nyla Rose at full force and just like, God, man, I loved watching that one. That was fun.
RJ, what about for you?
Well, it's actually a toss-up between the two matches we haven't really touched on yet. If I'm picking a normal wrestling match, it's Mox and Brody Lee for sure. With that said, I'm an Elite Mark. The Stadium Stampede was one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
Okay. We have talked about, since WrestleMania, these cinematic wrestling matches. And we've talked about how great they can be with like the Boneyard match, which, beautiful. And the Firefly Funhouse, and even the Money in the Bank match. They all had their pros, they all had their cons, and they were all different in some sort of way. This is the only thing I will say about the Stadium Stampede match. That was the most bizarre, hilariously chaotic, but amazing thing I've ever seen. I wouldn't necessarily put it above, say, the Boneyard match. I don't think that touches that, but oh my God, that was fun.
I pick my words very carefully here. I mean exactly the words that I say. That was one of the most entertaining things I have ever watched in my entire life.
Yes.
As far as a wrestling match goes, I've obviously seen better. But what was my favorite thing at Double or Nothing? It was the Stadium Stampede for sure. You could ask me what my top 10 moments were from Double or Nothing, and all 10 happened in the Stadium Stampede. It was amazing.
Brian, I got one more thing I want to add about the Stadium Stampede, and I'll let you comment, I promise. You know what my biggest takeaway from that is? If Sammy Guevara wants to quit wrestling right now, he'll have about 20 NFL teams calling him, son of a bitch, that kid is fast.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because he had that fucking horse.
Oh, no.
And I can't edit that out.
We're live, pal.
Oh, that was phenomenal.
Oh, I was just trying to hang it up on the. I was literally trying to hang it up on the curtain rod right there, gang. And yeah, well, okay, now I can move this back a little bit because I felt like the damn camera was like right at my fucking nose.
Hashtag binder clips. Hashtag something.
Oh, I know. Mrs. Rant Mode On's gonna pocket in there to put a curtain rod up, and we're going to hang it on command hooks over on another wall. But yeah, we just did it for the night. It worked fine for 20 minutes. Oops.
That was good stuff.
That was
Tune in next week when Patrick says, just kidding.
Pigs in space. Thank you. I love that fucking. That's one of my favorite Muppet skits ever. God. Anyway, back to that. Hangman Page chasing Sammy with that damn horse. Sammy is at the 30 and is just gone. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm watching him like, son of a bitch. I'm like, good. It's like Major League. You know, Wesley Snipes, shit, I've been cut already, and then just makes that sprint up the 40 track where the guys have already taken off. And then it's like, get that kid a uniform. Like, Jesus. Between that and I almost peed myself laughing with Matt Hardy in the pool.
Yeah. The what became a swimming pool of reincarnation, I guess.
Reincarnation. I was like, oh my God.
I loved a couple of my favorite moments were Hangman with the yard line chalk on Jericho, I thought was pretty hilarious. And my favorite moment from the entire night was the greatest one-winged angel Kenny's ever done. It was absolutely gorgeous, and I expected them to hit something seconds before they actually did. Like, when he jumped, I expected it to be a way shorter jump than it actually was. They fell way further than expected.
Like 20 feet.
There's an under the radar moment that a lot of people aren't talking about. That got mentioned by somebody on Twitter, and Santana actually said, "I'm glad somebody caught that. That's exactly what I meant to do." At one point, Santana grabs Kenny Omega and Irish whips him into like they're in the seating area, and he like Irish whips him into what would be the concession area, like through the tunnel. And somebody said on Twitter, "Oh my God, Santana actually used the transition from No Mercy on N64 to get Kenny Omega backstage." And Santana said, "I'm glad somebody caught that. That's exactly what I did."
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Man, oh God, amazing.
As soon as you said use the transition, I'm like, oh shit. oh my God.
Ryan, we've talked a lot about it. You've talked none about it. Go ahead.
Well, I've talked none about it because I didn't actually watch it. Everything that I've picked up on it has been recaps from like Bleacher Report and things like that, and comments that you guys made the night it was actually happening.
Clips on YouTube, Bubba.
Okay. And time got away from me last weekend to be able to watch it and whatnot. So, over or under 4 more months for Moxley to hold the championship?
Over.
Mm-hmm.
Over. Okay.
I'm going to say over only because AEW doesn't do pay-per-views every month.
Okay.
It's not exactly quarterly. It's a little less time than that, but they don't do monthly pay-per-views, so I think it's got to be over.
I'm going to say over because I honestly don't think Mox loses it until we're in front of a crowd again.
All right.
Who is his next challenger, do you think? Or is he still got things to settle with Brody Lee?
They said on Dynamite, it's Fyter Fest, it's Cage.
Okay.
Yeah, Fyter Fest, yeah. So,
yeah, Cage next, and Moxley was on commentary for a cage match.
That's great.
Yeah. So Moxley was on commentary, and he was like kind of talking to us on commentary, going back and forth with Taz, who had a mic in the ring. So yeah, it's Cage.
Yeah. And
10 points for AEW on that. That was good. A cage match.
And speaking of cage matches, it was a hell of a good one on NXT this past Wednesday.
And we're not going to say much more than that because
if you like snug like your boy does, you're gonna like it. It was quite nice.
I'm going to throw one more thing out about Double or Nothing, and then I'm done. If they ever decide that they are going to auction off those casino chips that they use, I am going to refinance my house and buy one.
And roll it up the stairs into your living room.
I was thinking that while I was watching the show. Every time somebody would move one of those casino chips, I'm like, man, if they ever sell those, I'm buying one. I will sell everything I have to buy
That would
one
look great on my wall right there.
if I don't have to sell the house to buy it.
Yeah. Dad, what happened to Mom? Sold her for a poker chip. Guys, sold Mom.
And that's with me, poker is quite a bit of my life, so sold her for a poker chip could mean a lot more things than that.
Yeah. Wow. Moving right along, mainly because I love the ever-loving hell out of your wife, and I don't want her to kick you around.
As do I. She hurt her ankle, and I keep yelling at her to stop moving, but she won't stop moving.
Stop moving.
You hear that? Stop moving.
Rest, ice, compression, elevation.
Yes.
I'm saying, not walking to the freaking kitchen every 5 minutes and going to the store. Sorry. Anyway, I'm back.
Anyway, we're breaking that fourth wall.
We're breaking the fourth wall here, and I'm doing this breaking character on the show here. Adrian, do not make me go get Teresa.
Yeesh. So is it Mount Rushmore time?
It is Mount Rushmore time. We are talking the Mount Rushmore of rivalries. The only caveat is once you use a wrestler, you can't use him for another rivalry. So you can't have Flair Steamboat, Flair Sting, Flair Dusty.
Or RJ Bryan, RJ Patrick. That's not how it works.
Or Patrick and RJ and Patrick and Bryan. Or RJ and Bryan and RJ and Patrick. Yes, I totally.
That RJ Bryan rivalry is sneaky good. I will say it's a sneak. It's a long sweeping saga.
Yeah.
It's bit one-sided, if I do say so myself.
Oh Christ! No one actually.
Yeah, that Patrick and Bryan rivalry just has a lot of really BS finishes. You know, like banging one off a tree onto the green and missing the cup by that much.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, 4 rivalries that you think are the best of all time. And you can't use a wrestler twice. So, may I? First,
of course.
Came to mind was Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. Why? Single greatest trilogy of matches I have ever seen. Those 3 matches for the NWA Championship are as good as it freaking gets. So, yeah, that to me, number 1 with a bullet. So, who's next?
RJ, go ahead.
All right. I am always when it comes to, there's always a divide. There's different kinds of wrestling fans. Fans like the story in wrestling. Some fans like the wrestling in wrestling more. I've always been more of I need a story to lead up to the match kind of guy. In my opinion, the greatest rivalry of all time is McMahon and Austin, and I don't think it's close.
Yeah.
I think that goes on that's number 1 on my list. And if it's going to be story based and things that meant a lot to me, things that I thought were fantastic, I don't think that it gets more rivalry than McMahon Austin. It made the Attitude Era. It made there it is. Like,
it saved WWE.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, I went with a list that was mostly in-ring based with some story.
Absolutely.
But if you're going from like a full-blown, all-encompassing sports entertainment thing, no one can argue the point you just made. It is Austin McMahon. That is the rivalry that changed the entire business. So, Brian, what say you?
Well, I went with Ric Flair also for my first one, but unlike you, it's Ric Flair versus Sting for me, because it's a vintage rivalry that I've come to appreciate in later years. You know, because as we've mentioned on this show before, I did not watch WCW as a child growing up. I only watched smatterings of WWF. Got back in the game late 90s during the Attitude Era, and as my consumption has increased, I became aware of what Ric Flair versus Sting, and Flair has even said that he feels his greatest opponent of all time is Sting. So anytime those two guys tangle with each other, you feel the emotion, you feel, you know, Flair doing everything in his power to get Sting over. And, you know, that, yeah, and that's where it starts with me.
Yeah, I can't argue that one. You guys know how I feel about Sting. He's one of my 3 all-time favorites. By the way, the other 2 are on my list. No, actually, no. One of them's not on my list. Edge is not on my list. But I could have easily gone with that one, but I just love the Flair Steamboat matches way too damn much, from like Chi-Town Rumble and Wrestle War, and I think the other one was the Great American Bash. I just love that trilogy of matches too damn much. But I mean, yeah, you're talking about, this was the match that headlined the very first Clash of Champions. This was, you know, Sting and Flair headlined the first Clash of Champions. Headline the very first Nitro. It was on the very last Nitro. I mean, that's a hell of a lifespan for a rivalry. My second one, I think I'm gonna impress RJ on this one, because I'm going to Japan. The Great Muta and Masahiro Chono.
That's fantastic. There you go.
Fantastic rivalry, because when this rivalry was going on, Muta and Chono were at their best.
Absolutely, and you like Snug.
Oh, and I love Snug, and I also love Muta.
Muta is fantastic.
I am such a Muta mark. It is not even funny. Just the ambiance of that character is just like, oh, son of a bitch, this is so awesome. Because it's just so fluidly creepy.
Yeah, that's absolutely. That is, for anybody that has not seen any of that, that's an absolutely fantastic way to describe it.
Yeah. I mean, Muta was just, still, I mean, the old fart can still go to an extent. But yeah. Muta was that really athletic guy, and Chono was just a fucking badass. So yeah,
what time frame are we talking? Is this like mid 80s, early 90s, or what are we?
Early to mid 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Early to mid 90s.
Because I don't know why, but every time you mention the Great Muta, like I think he was like before that. So it's just my not understanding the timeline.
He was before that, and he was also then, and he's to an extent also still wrestling, kind of.
Yeah, he'll pop in every now and then.
Okay.
Kind of like Liger, you know. Well, even though Liger's retired and did the whole retirement thing at Wrestle Kingdom, before that he'd pop in and out.
Yep.
RJ.
Again, all of mine are story based because that's what I enjoy about wrestling the most. Bullet Club is fine.
That was a good one.
The whole rivalry between, if I have to pick two guys to be the rivalry and put on the Mount Rushmore, it's Kenny Omega and Cody. But it was more than that. It was Kenny feeling like he was being pushed out of Bullet Club by Marty and Hangman and Matt and Nick, accidentally pushing Matt. It goes on for years, or for about a year, this rivalry went on, culminating with them all coming back together as a group and mending fences, starting their own wrestling company. To me, in the world that I
talked about that wrestling company before. Hold on a second. It'll
Yeah.
come. Keep going.
know that Cody can't challenge for their world title. Anyway,
Fortunate.
anyway, it's just that for what it meant to me, because I was so invested in everything that was Bullet Club. A little look into my personal life. I have a fantasy football team. My main fantasy football team is named Bullet Club FC, Bullet Club Football Club.
True story.
I've been emotionally invested in them for years and years, for a very, very long time. And for it to all come down to these guys that were best friends are no longer best friends, and this one guy who's new to the Bullet Club is the one who is apparently getting in the mix and wants to be the leader, and just the whole thing that happened for the entire year. The Bullet Club is fine rivalry was it for me. I personally, that is the one that meant the most to me. I will always love it forever.
For my next one, I'm going to go with one that to me feels the freshest and most vivid in my mind, because it's the one that I got to watch unfold as it happened in real time. And I can't say that about the other three rivalries on this list, and that would be John Cena versus CM Punk.
Yeah.
You know, and you say what you will about either guy, because I know that, you know, some of the people on this show don't like one or the other guy for whatever reason, but when those two were wrestling each other, it didn't matter the circumstance. It didn't matter whether it was a throwaway match on SmackDown or it made the main event of Money in the Bank in Chicago in 2011. The shots they would take at each other on the microphone.
That damn match from the 1000th episode of Raw.
Yeah, all of it.
It gave Cena the pile driver and got a $10,000 fine and paid it with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
So
Just,
good.
You know, and I love going back and watching those matches over again from that time period, because you still feel the goosebumps. You still feel the raw emotion, because both guys believed everything they were saying. And, you know, for me, it had to be on the list. Right after I wrote down Flair and Sting, I wrote that one down next. It had to be on my list.
If I was going to do a Cena rivalry, I actually initially wrote down 6, and I obviously needed to cut 2. And one of the ones I cut was Edge and Cena.
That's one of my honorable mentions, is Edge and Cena.
Yeah. I personally think that's Cena's best rivalry, storytelling wise, especially, because you also got to think from an Edge standpoint. Edge truly started to become a real legit heel during that title rivalry with Cena. That celebration. So I thought that was his pinnacle rivalry. I had 2 other. Let's see. I got 2 more. Which one? Oh, RJ, you mentioned from a storytelling standpoint, Austin McMahon.
Yeah.
From a story and in-ring storytelling point, I went Austin and Rock. I give The Rock a crap ton, especially with Brian.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. If you would shut up and let me do this, I promise you, I'm actually going to say something nice at the end. I mean, it's going to be awesome. Just go with me on this.
Breaking news across the bottom of the screen. Patrick's going to say something nice about The Rock.
Yes. As much crap as I give him about, bailing and going doing a movie and showing up when he needs to promote something, before he went hardcore into Hollywood, he in the ring could put asses in seats. And he would make you care. One way or the other, whether you were booing him or you were cheering him, he made you care. Heel 401 or face 401. You would pay your hard-earned money to see him either whoop somebody's ass or get his jabroni ass kicked. And there was no dip down in that. So for me, that rivalry, Rock's greatest opponent, Austin's greatest adversary through the entire Attitude Era was Vince. His greatest opponent was The Rock.
Yeah.
RJ.
For my third, I went Sean and Brett.
Is she needed?
No explanation needed, I guess. Yeah, for sure. It's
Could you
in the ring.
expound a little bit?
It's in the ring. It's out of the ring. It's in the locker room. It's in the parking lot. It's on the phone. It's those two fucking guys hated each other for real.
On the episode of Vice's Dark Side of the Ring.
Right.
It's chronicled in that documentary Wrestling with Shadows. So yeah, no further explanation needed. That wasn't just a wrestling rivalry. That was a rivalry.
Right, for sure. And there is no better story than a real life one.
Right. That wasn't make believe. That was Bloods and Crips. Hatfields and McCoys. Brian Kriego and Patrick Swafford at an all-you-can-eat wing night at Quaker Steak and Lube.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know where he is on camera, what you guys are seeing as you're watching this on YouTube, so I'm going to assume it's that way. But undefeated, this tag team, undefeated. Bianca Belair, undefeated. Smashing records and buffet tables every single night.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Brian.
You took my third, Rock and Stone Cold.
Okay.
So I look.
Hey, we'll just loop back around for number 4. My number 4 is, from a storytelling standpoint, it led to the single greatest match I've ever seen in my entire life. What I will argue, the greatest match of all time. The greatest WrestleMania match of all time. Sean, we lost RJ.
He'll be back. I have a feeling.
I'm going to pause. Wow, that got kind of trippy. Me and RJ kind of switched places. Maybe, I don't know. But what had happened was somebody had some technical difficulties. And this time it wasn't me.
Teleportation.
Yeah, we'll call it that. RJ's tablet decided to, basically shart itself.
Yeah.
But that's fine. We'll bring everybody up to speed. What's happened here is Patrick and Brian are in lockstep on their final 2 rivalries, oddly enough.
But I was not able to tell RJ what my 4th one was because that's when he crapped out.
Okay.
In terms of storytelling, everything else, it led to the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, Shawn and The Undertaker. Remember, first Hell in a Cell. Led to Taker and Kane. And then, they had all those great rivalry. The casket match that fucked Shawn's back up. You know,
And that's what I have down about that one too. Is it's a weird rivalry because it exists in two different eras, really.
oh yeah,
You know, the Attitude Era, you know, for all of those reasons, and then they came back around for WrestleMania 25 and 26.
not just that, Brian. It exists in two different mindsets and mental and emotional, physical, spiritual places.
Yeah.
For self-destructive Shawn Michaels before the back injury, Christian when he comes back. You know, man of faith. So, you know, Taker dealt with a completely different dude at 25 and 26. And to be completely honest, I thought Shawn Michaels version 2.0 would have kicked the crap out of the first incarnation of Shawn.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'd have to think about that one some, but it's possible, yeah.
I think that's like a Tyson and Ali question, you know, just
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
you know, who would win, old Shawn, new Shawn? So, but yeah, that's my fourth one.
And Brian, you said that's your fourth one also?
Yes, Patrick and I actually agreed on two of them. We both have Austin Rock, and we both have Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker.
There's a lot of ways that I could have gone. The first three, McMahon, Austin, Bullet Club is fine, and Sean Brett, I had written down on my paper before we were done recording last week. That was easy. Had a lot of contenders for my fourth spot. Shawn and Taker was one of them. Edge and Cena was one of them. I couldn't use Kenny again, so Kenny and Okada was out. I couldn't use Austin again, so Austin and Triple H was out. I considered Scott Steiner versus the English language. I didn't go with that one.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. I think I know where you're going.
You definitely don't.
Really?
I considered McMahon versus Common Sense and Sanity, but I didn't do that one either. What I did go with is one of my all-time favorite stories.
Brock Lesnar and steroid tests.
I went with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho.
Nice.
I went with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho because the way I describe it to people is it was the rivalry that was a friendship. They were best friends through the whole time, but Kevin always had to be one up on Chris, and Chris always had to be one up on Kevin. And oh my God, this is the moment that one of them's going to turn, but it doesn't happen. And oh my God, this is the moment one of them's going to turn, and then they don't. And oh my God, this is the moment one of them's going to turn, and it went on for what seemed like forever. And then the Festival of Friendship happens, and why is my name on this? And it's the
list of KO.
Oh no, no.
Oh, froze again.
Oh, let it go. Fuck you, Elsa.
That's unfortunate.
But yeah, the list of KO. And then yeah, but I'll agree with him. That was such good stuff.
And that's one of the better recent stories that WWE has told.
Yeah.
That went on for what seemed like 6, 8, 10 months.
Right. And then you also find out later after the fact that initially that was supposed to end up being for the Universal title, but then they ended up deciding they wanted to go Brock and Goldberg.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was such a great idea. Again, Vince versus Common Sense.
Right.
So, all right. So next week's Mount Rushmore conversation is what again?
I believe they postulated that it was overrated. Mount Rushmore overrated, and we all know who your first bust on that Mount Rushmore will be.
Dolph Ziggler.
Right.
Yeah, that's number one on my list easily. So yeah, no mystery about that one. Looking forward to that. We got a little bit of homework real quick. And we'll go ahead and get out of here with that because RJ was supposed to do television time remaining. And
next week.
his target. So we had the tag team Hell in a Cell match between the New Day and the Usos from what year again?
2017 kicked off the show.
2017. I couldn't remember the year. I do remember a whole lot of weapons. I do remember Woods being handcuffed to the top of the ring post and the Usos just lighting him up with kendo sticks. This was a hard-hitting match. When you've seen these guys and their rivalry and how it's shaped since the beginning, it's just vile and kind of vicious.
Yeah.
And this match was all of that. There's some funny moments during the match. Woods had a trash can lid up to one of the Usos' heads and, screams out, "It has begun," Mortal Kombat reference. And that was cool. Tables. I mean, it was a good, hardcore Hell in a Cell match. It didn't have all the craziness that Hell in a Cell does. It was just a fight. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. I was again, every time I see it, I'm very uncomfortable watching Woods take those shots to the gut.
Yeah, and there was a lot of offense that you could term uncomfortable. I mean, when I think it was Jimmy was tethered in the corner of the cell with the kendo sticks, like lashing him in place, and they were getting shots in that was kind of uncomfortable. The act of having a trombone broken in half.
Oh, I forgot about that.
The reckless abandon that all four guys went at it with, and then you kind of feel for Kofi because he's outside, he can't do anything, he can't really help anybody. And just the thing I'm going to take from this match, and you can tell that the Usos and the New Day trust each other.
Oh yeah,
we are going to take care of each other. We're going to get these spots in, and we're going to get a reaction out of you, but we're going to take care of each other. We're not going to do stupid stuff. I thought everything was pushing the envelope, responsibly pushing the envelope.
Agreed.
Grade-wise, what would you give it?
A B. Middle of the road B. It wasn't great. I mean, it was very, very, very serviceable. So I'd give it a B.
I actually went A- on it, because they proved again what they can do as a tag team in a Hell in a Cell. You don't get to see those that much. With the right two teams, it's, good stuff.
So this just dawned on me that this might have already been a homework assignment. You would know. Have we done Shawn and Taker from 25?
I don't know. I know that it's been talked about before on the show. I know when we were talking about like matches that you need to see.
Right.
Back in January when we did that list, that was on there. We mentioned it.
Have we done this as a homework?
I don't know, but if that's what you had in mind, then I'm game.
That is exactly what I had in mind. And here's my way of thinking, my reason for thinking. Obviously, yeah, inspired by the fact that I listed it as one of my Mount Rushmore rivalries. But we've had so few A+ since in the year that we've been doing homework.
Yeah.
We've been hypercritical of those matches that we think are really, 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 really good. I mean, for God's sakes, Steamboat and Flair didn't get an A+ from you guys. I mean, being honest here, I want to see how this match truly measures up to our critique when we decide to put it under our microscope.
Okay.
Truly look at it and disassemble it and put it back together. Is it as good as we think it is? And you know what my answer is? I think so. But I need more research. I need
Right.
I need you and I need RJ to both take a look at it as well. I'll watch it for the umpteenth millionth time. I don't care. So yeah, no. Oh, okay. I gotta watch Shawn and Taker 25 again. Dude,
Yes, please.
we're watching. Mrs. Rentmode and I are watching the Last Ride documentary. Come to find out, last weekend she had never seen Shawn Taker 25. Took care of that post haste. She agreed. She's like, "Oh my God, that's the best match I've ever seen." I'm like, yeah, pretty much. So, well, since RJ decided to just up and leave us, didn't want to hang out with us, hashtag technical difficulties. Yeah, look at you, green screen. Brian, before we get out of here, any final thoughts?
Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for taking the time out of your wrestling week to see what we're talking about and we're discussing.
Watch crap ball.
And continue to look after your family and friends. Give someone a call that you haven't talked to in a while. Wash those hands.
Yep.
20 seconds, that helps.
Yep. Sing happy birthday twice. Or
Yep.
if you want, sing Auburn's fight song. That's what I
That's
do.
all I have.
I don't sing happy birthday twice. I sing Auburn's fight song once.
Of course you do.
Sometimes I'll sing Jacksonville State. Auburn's is a little bit cooler. But, both fight songs are good. War Eagle, Go Gamecocks. I don't differentiate. I love both my schools. My final thoughts, to quote the great philosopher Jerry Springer, be good to each other. And just stop being assholes to one another. We're seeing a lot of that in the news right now. Not going to really get into it because that is a whole nother can of worms that we really don't want to open up on this show. Stop being dicks. Stop being dicks to each other. I don't care if it's because we're in a pandemic or not. Ignore that for just 1 second. Stop being dicks to each other. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here together to get through this thing called life. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. For the disembodied voice of RJ and my boy Brian, I'm Patrick. This has been Wrestling with Egos. We'll see you next week. And as always, that's our story. I'm sticking to it, and I don't have a couch to lay down on this week, so the show's just going to have to fade out on us like it normally does. Like right here. Look at you all trying to get your good side in.
Which one is that? Is that?
Another satisfied customer.